All right, so well, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you for being here. This is the Telerik R3 2020 release webinar, but it's just not one because we are doing this thing all through the week. Just going to do justice to all of the tech, all of the things we do throughout the release. All right, so let's get started. My name is Sam Basu, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Ed Charbonneau. We are both dev advocates here at Progress Software. Those are our social handles if you need to get hold of us. I'm in Pennsylvania, Ed is in Kentucky. We are all living through a pandemic, so hopefully you and yours are staying safe. Don't be fooled by our formal shirts. It's still PJs, but we're at least here. We are glad to be able to bring you a huge release and talk about this throughout the whole week. So welcome again, and let's get started. So like I said, this is a webinar week. We are kind of sharing the love throughout the week. We normally have a lot to unpack all across Telerik and Xamarin UI. So we are trying to do this on a vertical basis per tech each week or each day. So you have already seen this slide a few times already this week, but we started off on Monday with all things web for .NET. And in the last 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, you saw all things Kendo and Xamarin UI. And that's for React, that's for Vue, that's for Angular and jQuery. Lots and lots of love that we poured into in our JavaScript frameworks. But we are back to sanity. As to say, today is Thursday and tomorrow. So we're going to talk mostly .NET. You'll see a little bit of JavaScript tomorrow, but today is all things .NET, which is where Ed and me like being. So today we talk about all things mobile and desktop. And I know Ed is all about the web, and Blazor is super exciting, so we'll talk about Blazor a little bit as well. But again, the reality is for lots of enterprises, it is those desktop apps that run your business. It is those mobile apps that help you reach your audience. So we're going to kind of break down all the things we can do to kind of help you be more successful. All right. So like I said, this is our webinar week. So each day we are actually doing this in 2 ways, just so you get the most out of it. And you're spending an hour and then 2 hours, hopefully, with us on Twitch. So this is your time. Ask away questions. This is kind of the first hour where we unpack all the things that we did on each product. For today, you're going to see me talk about Xamarin, WPF, WinForms, WinUI, all of the desktop and mobile stuff, and we're going to unpack all of those things. We'll show you some product features that we are very excited to bring you, and then we take a half an hour break. I go grab a quick lunch, and then you come and join us on Twitch, which is where a lot of us are live streaming. You're going to see me actually use the things that I talk about just as any other developer would. So you get to chat. It's super interactive. So bring your questions, bring your whatever concerns you have. If you want me to do something, I'm happy to oblige, right? So that's coming up later this afternoon. Now, as we always say, you just see Ed and me on screen here for the .NET webinars, but there's a small army supporting us. We have folks in Boston. We have folks in Europe, which is our core engineering teams. So the folks who actually build these products are here, right here. So ask away your questions. There is a Q&A panel where you can ask questions, and we'll like to get back to you. And there are questions, if they're relevant for everybody, we will read them out and try to answer as many as we can. If you are on Twitter, just keep it kind of a public breadcrumb so we can all see what the Q&A was. Use the hashtag #HeyTelerik. And again, we are all living through kind of unique times. So if you have to run or your connection drops or whatever happens, we are recording this. So we will push this out in high def as soon as we can on our YouTube channel, right? So make the most of your time. All right, Ed, you still here?
Absolutely, Sam.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you talk about DevReach? Because this is something we are super excited.
For us progressors here in the United States, we look forward every year to our company event in Sofia, Bulgaria called DevReach. It's an amazing developer conference that we hold in Sofia, where all of our engineering team for the Telerik products is, and we get to meet with all of them. But unfortunately, due to the pandemic, none of us are traveling. So we're going to miss out on the live in-person part of DevReach this year. But fortunately for all of you, it is now a virtual event. So that means you can attend the event for free online from the comfort of your home. So we have several days packed with tracks from .NET to JavaScript, with live coding in Blazor, React, all of the mobile platforms in Xamarin with Maui. We have a day of Angular, and of course we have tons of attendee parties and prizes and things to give away, just like you'd see at a normal event that's in person. We've got those things set up too. So we're going to have some virtual reality events that Sam's been working on. So that's really interesting. And it's all, we're going to have all sorts of interactivity on Twitch throughout the day. So come in and ask questions, pair a program with us. Every day will be a little bit different depending on who's hosting and what type of activities they have planned for their track. But it'll be exciting and fun. So, and again, it's free. Free entertainment. Come join us.
I'm excited about this. I don't know about you. Like, yes, of course, we're missing out on the in-person things, but a virtual conference has its own perks. Like when I'm at a conference, like I'm torn, like which session should I go to, because things are happening in parallel. This is all week long, so you get to devote and come and hang out with us. If you want to care about Blazor, that's our guy Ed here. He's going to drive a full 5-hour stream on Blazor, and we're going to bring some of the best industry experts and folks from Microsoft and Angular and other teams to talk about the best that's happening in those frameworks. So React and Xamarin days and Angular days, and then just hanging out at a core party is just so much fun online. So everything happens at twitch.tv/codeit live. We will have virtual escape rooms. We will have a VR world that we have built. Just a lot of fun over like a whole week. Okay, so come and join us for DevReach. Yeah.
We've got Daniel Roth, and I think anybody who's ever influenced Angular in any way, shape, or form, Alyssa has gotten to join in the Angular day. So that should be pretty exciting. That is quite the list of guests that she's lined up.
And the same with the React as well. We got engineers from from the React teams, from Apple, everywhere. So come and hang out with us. DevReach should be a lot of fun. Okay, let's talk about what we are about to unpack here, which is all of the mobile and the desktop stuff. And what we are doing here, we're in the business of making modern UI for .NET, right? To make .NET developers more productive, so you can ship your apps faster. You don't have to do everything out of the kind of reinvent the wheel, because you have deadlines. You have things to ship, and we are here to help. But all of that we do literally stands on top of .NET and modern .NET, which can be a couple of different things. So you may have seen a couple of these slides from Microsoft. Modern .NET has evolved a ton. It's not just the same monolithic .NET on Windows. It supports a variety of platforms. Now it's outside of Windows, and the tools of our trade have really come a long, long way in terms of Visual Studio on Windows, VS for Mac. You can see me use a lot of VS for Mac. I will use some Visual Studio on Windows as well. Command line tools, it's all welcome. And .NET, as you know, is kind of in a unifying journey. So Ed, I know you care a lot about .NET 5. Do you want to talk through this?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago at Build, Microsoft said they were going to be the destination for all developers anywhere, no matter what platform and tools they are using. And I think we're starting to really see that come to light here with .NET 5. So there's been a little bit of fragmentation in the ecosystem until recently. We have .NET Full Framework. That's going to be in its last full release in .NET 4.8. So that's the traditional full framework that runs only on Windows. So with .NET 5, we're taking .NET Core and all of the other cross-platform .NET implementations and putting those all under one .NET umbrella, that is .NET 5. So it's a big unification of the platform. So all that fragmentation will be gone, but we have the added benefit now of writing one standard and deploying to desktop, web, mobile, cloud, AI, and all of those exciting things, using all of the tools that we love, no matter if they are Visual Studio, the command line itself, or some custom editor that you use, whether it's something from JetBrains or if it's just Vim, that's plain text editor. It's all supported now. It's all a wonderful ecosystem. I, in particular, love the web and the AI portion of all of this. Sam's more of an expert in the mobile and desktop realm, in dabbling in some VR lately. So it's been exciting for all of us. And .NET 5 is the bigger, better, faster edition of all of this. They've put a lot of effort into making .NET 5 run extremely fast and proficient. So it's low memory, high output, and I think a lot of developers are going to be happy with it.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I mean, I do list out some of the tools here on the right, but I mean, if you are using Vim, you can't exit, so stick to Vim. You're all good. The way I see .NET is kind of taking the best parts of .NET Core and Mono, which is what Xamarin runs on, and putting them all together and making the runtime selection kind of seamless for devs. So what you're going to see is .NET 5 is still coming out. I mean, it's in beta. So the RC, which is the release candidate view, which actually release candidate release, that actually has a go live license, which means it is supported in production. The RC1 of it came out, I think, a week or so back, maybe 10 days. And you already see us supporting that, right? So that's how bleeding edge we are with Microsoft, because like we are partners. We get access to the bits way sooner. We can make sure our stuff works on top of it. And you might see a couple of more RC release candidates go out before now in November. Yeah. And then early November, you'll see .NET 5.
RC2 is going to drop here very soon.
Yep. And the good news here is no matter what .NET you pick, and I mean, .NET Framework, yes, it might be a little bit of a maintenance mode, but it's not going away. So all of your desktop apps are fine. And you can also come and use .NET Core when you see the need. So all good things happening in the .NET world. Okay. So let's go on to, let's see, where's my mouse? There we go. So like I said, we are trying to make developers more productive. Those of you who already use Telerik stuff, thank you for your patronage. If you're just new to the Telerik and KenDUI family, hopefully you can see just the vast breadth of technologies we cover, trying to provide tools and frameworks for all .NET developers, so really any app and any platform. Okay, so let's talk about R3. And as I say a lot, like, I mean, these are difficult times for a lot of people. Our industry is sort of blessed to be able to work seamlessly remote, but some things are difficult. And engineering and project management, those are things that are very difficult to get done remotely because you're collaborating nonstop with your teammates. So which is why I'm actually super impressed that our engineering teams like don't even miss a beat and they're over delivering. This is a huge release for us to close out the year. You might see a couple more like service packs come out, but what we're talking about here is just stuff that's stretching all across different technologies. So we are only going to talk about .NET and web and mobile today, but everything is up on blogs.telerik.com. So go get the details on the products that you care about, and hopefully you see some of the products that you perhaps are not using, but then you should, because many of you have DevCraft, so it's all in there for you to use. Now, no matter what you use, though, and however you get the Telerik UI bits into your projects, go ahead and get that, because everything that I'm going to show you today, you're not going to see it unless you have the R3 bits. So be it just a straight up Telerik.com, you download your DLLs or control panel, or most of you end up using a NuGet package, which is great. You can bring it into any framework or any project that you are in, NPM libraries if you're using KenDUI. Go ahead and do what you do to see the latest bits light up in all the UI that we have poured in. Okay, and as we always say, like, we are by developers for developers. We do not want anybody to struggle with our things. So we dog food a lot of things. We put a lot of love and care in our docs in making sample apps that I will show you some of those things. These are things that don't get us a whole lot, but we get to utilize our tools to actually push out apps in the store and see how the end-to-end experience is. And then whatever pain points are, we try to flush it out. And so talk to us. If you are seeing docs where you think things could be better, talk to us. If you want products to have certain features that you think are missing, talk to us. Again, our PMs, like, we read everything that comes through. So feedback.telerik.com. So tell us everything that you feel, and we are here for you. Okay. So let's talk about mobile. Ed, you talked about all things .NET and Blazor. How do you feel about the whole mobile landscape? Do you think it should be all web, or mobile has a space?
Mobile always, I think, has a space for native. I'm a big believer in building web applications that can run anywhere. And then I think there's a solid space for what I call companion apps. So you need something very tightly focused on a user that you know is mobile for sure. And you can focus the UI on something that is tailored to their task of being mobile, whether it's taking photos and submitting cropped photos, things like you can picture like Instagram or something like that. Makes a much better mobile experience than it would on a cross-platform desktop tablet type of scenario. So I think there's a big place for that. And while we're on the kind of the crossover subject of mobile and in Blazor here, there's a question in the chat here from Mark. Mark wants to know if you're going to cover Blazor mobile bindings at all today, Sam.
Yes, absolutely. I'm super excited about that, Mark. So yeah, give me another 10 minutes and I'll go into some demos and talk about that. So I agree with what Ed is saying. I think the web is ubiquitous. It's for everything. And you can absolutely use the web as your delivery mechanism for reaching mobile audiences. But at some point, you might realize that you want to be on the device itself, and you want to be in the App Store. This is where, I mean, sure, you can build native apps, but it's just difficult. This is where the cross-platform solutions come in. Pretty much everything that cross-platform that you pick will let you go into the app stores, and just think about, like, look into your phones right now and think about how many of those apps are native. So native apps absolutely have a space in terms of what they can do. The web is, like Ed said, it could be a companion thing, but some of the hard-hitting things you really want to be on the device. So let's talk about all things mobile and what we can do. And I'm going to talk about Xamarin in particular, because this is a space that is rapidly evolving. Xamarin did kind of make things super easy for .NET devs to reach iOS and Android. We are writing truly native cross-platform apps, but it's a complex ecosystem. It's all free, it's all open source, but you got few things going on, and you are again seeing a bit of a unification story. And we are here to help you however you want to use Xamarin. So, like I said, Xamarin it's a couple of different things now. This is where this started. This is still called Xamarin iOS or Xamarin Android. And this is where you're writing C#, that's shared business logic, and you're writing the heads separately. You still absolutely can do that. I almost always nowadays suggest that you start with Xamarin Forms, which is about 4 or 5 years old now, and it's come a long, long way. The tooling used to be super rough, and it used to be expensive. Now it's very smooth. We personally know a lot of engineers and PMs on Microsoft Teams, and they work with us. They are hearing your pains, and they're trying to tighten up the dev cycle so developers get to be more productive. So here we are writing a shared UI layer. That's an abstraction over iOS and Android. And it's difficult to write an abstraction over 3 different platforms, but 95% of the way you can get around with that abstraction. And then whenever you do need to jump into native land, you absolutely do have the right to do so for iOS and Android. So no matter how you want to use Xamarin, we want to help you out. And then in terms of the whole Xamarin and Xamarin Forms ecosystem, this is, again, in evolution. Right now, we are seeing Xamarin, and people still complain that it's not quite the same part of Microsoft or part of .NET, so they're trying to fix it. Xamarin iOS and Xamarin Android will essentially become .NET for iOS and .NET for Android. And Xamarin Forms is going to evolve into something called multi-platform app UI. You may have heard me talk about this in the last release, but again, things are moving forward. This is not for this year yet, because there's a lot of work to do. So this is for targeting .NET 6, which is coming out November of next year, which you think there's a lot of time, but that's I mean, they have a long runway, but they have to make sure things are done right. So this is the next evolution of Xamarin Forms. It will help you target iOS, Android, Tizen, Mac OS, WPF, Windows through WinUI. So you name it. So all of those things stay true, but what you will see is better tooling, more mature tooling, and opening up the funnel. So XAML and C#, which is what you will see me do today, that's not the only way you can build Xamarin apps, because the core power of Xamarin is in the renderers, that how they render native UI. So they can use those renderers coming in from straight up C# as well, coming in from Blazor as well. So you're going to see us kind of ride those waves. We are already building stuff out for Blazor mobile bindings, and we'll be looking at MView design patterns for C# as well. So again, as things evolve, we'll be right there to support you. So let's talk about Telerik UI for Xamarin. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I know a couple of engineers from the team are on as well. So again, tell us how you feel about this. We pour in a lot of love. So what you get is lots of native controls, lots of SKIA sharp controls, everything for Xamarin iOS, everything for Xamarin Android, and cross-platform wrappers for Xamarin Forms. Works everywhere. Windows, Mac, we don't care. Works the same way on every Visual Studio. We have made it super, super easy to get started. So you want to bring in, get started with our templates. We give you like half a dozen templates to start off. You want common screens like credit cards or user authentication, we give you all of that. You have an existing project where you just want to bring in our UI, we just bring in through NuGet. So again, lots and lots of love that's been poured in. And I will talk about sample apps. I'll show you one app, and I'll show you like 4 other apps that you can go and try yourself. And our goal is to be the best possible UI provider for Xamarin apps. No matter what type of Xamarin apps you're writing, we want to be right there to help you out. So let's talk about some of the things that are new. And some big controls, and then some big changes, as you will see. I was thinking about this, and it's funny, like we've been doing Xamarin for some time, but some core pieces are still not there in Xamarin. So we are chiming in with a combo box. This is brand new, and it is what you expect it to be, especially from Telerik. It's a rich, feature-rich combo box, and it has lots and lots of features. So it lets you obviously type something if you are in editable mode and you see suggestions, or you can just do a drop-down that's bound to a collection dynamically. You have watermark placeholders. You have a header and footer that you can customize. The search, when you're searching through your collection, can be case sensitive, starts with, contains lots of features. And for developers behind the scenes, like our goal is to always open up as many APIs as we can. So you get to render this exactly the way that you crave for your applications. So lots of theming help. So works across multiple themes. All of the styling APIs are open. You get to have single or multiple selections. If you do have multiple selections, then more and more things, like in this example that you see, those cities, they are showing up. Those are called tokens. And you get to customize everything. There's a template for showing the selected items. There's a template for showing the list of items. There's a template for showing you the tokens. It's completely out there for you to use. If you want to bring in an MVVM framework and you want to have commands for your buttons, it supports that. UI virtualization, so if you bind it to a huge collection, we want to make sure the UI always works. So all of that is built in for you. We have brand new rich text editor, and you're kind of seeing this across a few of our product lines, but this is important because your app might be dealing with complex text or HTML, and how do you format all of that as a user? So we want to give you a classic WYSIWYG editor that is rich and has all the features that you can think of. So think about text selections and text formatting, right? So all types of formatting that you can do on text, undo, redo, fonts, different types of fonts you can support, hyperlinks, indentation, alignment, numbered lists or unordered lists, subscript, superscript, you can do it all. And we can pull up just about every type of HTML and visualize that. You can customize how the toolbar looks like. You can, again, use MVVM for commands. So everything is very open, and I would like to show you this. It's super cool. Like if you have an app that is dealing with this kind of content, be it in an email, be it in a blog, you have a rich editor that you can just throw in, and it can load up everything, and you can import and export out of it. We do have a PDF viewer. This was something that was heavily requested, and what we did was take a step back and do it right. We have a huge document processing library that can deal with just about every Office document, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and then PDF is a big part of it for most enterprise workflows, because you are dealing with PDFs. Maybe you're generating reports and you want to ship it out. So for PDF Viewer, we are able to load up just about every PDF. What is new in this this release is we added a new search feature, which is great because it lets your users search through anything and just kind of page through that. You do have complete programmatic API access to it, and again, everyone friendliness. We do give you a nice search toolbar that's built in, so you don't have to do anything. Just like turn it on, and any PDF that you load, it works right out the gate. So search options in terms of like contains, starts with, case sensitive, it's all there for you. Right, so that's a nice, sweet addition to our Xamarin PDF Viewer. Let's talk about Blazor. This is going to make Ed's eyes light up, and Blazor is exciting for a good reason. It's C# front and back. So Blazor has come a long way. When we first started, we were doing server-side Blazor and maintaining a DOM on the client side through a SignalR bridge in real time. And then starting May of this year, we went all out client side with WebAssembly. And you have C# and F# and Rust and all of these higher level languages running in the browser with the same level of control and speed as JavaScript. It's just like a JavaScript engine. We are running WebAssembly, so that's great. Now, Blazor does have implications, not just for web, but for other things as well, especially for mobile. Like we were talking about it, you absolutely can build progressive web apps, right? Where you are not going to the App Store, you just want to build a nice polished web, mobile web presence where you can pin your app to the home screen, you can have push notifications, you can have service workers running in the background, you can do all of that with Blazor. In fact, we have a super polished Blazor PWI demo that you can play around with. You can load it up on your desktop or your phone. It will ask you to install and you can see. For native Xamarin as well, Blazor has a plugin, and this is not WebAssembly, but this is using your skills as a Blazor developer. If you want to write Blazor syntax, and if you want to write the same component model that you're used to, maybe you are just a straight up ASP.NET dev, you have never done mobile, you don't want to touch Xamarin, that's okay. You can now use Blazor mobile bindings to be able to render the same native UI just through Blazor. And I mean, Blazor does have a potential of playing in the desktop space as well. It can run in an Electron shell, but it's just way too heavy of a shell to throw its way. There are some efforts underway to make it a lighter web shell. So that's all very good things. So when it comes to
really quick on the Blazor front there, what's really interesting about the framework itself is it's not tied to any one rendering engine. So while it was built for the web, it has a DOM abstraction in between it and the browser, so you can actually plug in different types of rendering engines there, and we can do direct to native desktop and things like that. So it'll be a really interesting thing to see over the next iteration of .NET to see where the .NET engineers take it. I've seen a really interesting demo on the .NET stand-up. I don't have the exact link handy. You might have to do a little Googling for it. But Daniel Roth showed off a MAUI application with Blazor web components embedded inside of it. And they're running without WebAssembly. So they're actually using a .NET shell instead of Electron. So there's some really creative spaces that are going to crop up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're trying to do here is get ahead of the curve. No matter how Xamarin and .NET MAUI shakes up to be, you can be assured that Blazor will have a play for mobile as well. So this whole Blazor bindings for mobile, it's still experimental for Microsoft, but you can see this is a very good experiment because everyone's excited about it. So no WebAssembly, like Ed was saying, we are bringing in some of the things that you like being a Blazor developer, same startup DI model as ASP.NET, CSS to style things, just behind the scenes, whenever you write that abstraction, we know how to render native UI. And for us, like all of our Xamarin Forms or Xamarin iOS or Xamarin Android, be it native, be it Skia, we will do the hard work. So you can just write Blazor syntax and we will render native UI. So again, looking ahead at MAUI, this is the way to go. So we started doing this last release. We had about 6 or so controls that were available as Blazor wrappers. This time around, we did the autocomplete view, which is super sweet. And then the giant in the room is the DataGrid. if we can do a data grid in Blazor that renders native Xamarin Forms data grid, we can do everything, right? This is the biggest control. So we did it, and it's working super fine, and performance is solid. So you have one more option as to how you render your Xamarin Forms apps, and I'll love to show you this. Okay, so lots and lots of other things that we did across the board. I got to watch my time here, 30 minutes. I got desktop stuff to cover as well. So lots of other enhancements. We got calendars that you use to add or edit appointments. All of that is evolving. We have like 9 or 10 different views that are all very rich and very customizable. This one is big, Android X support. So if you do any type of Android dev, you are used to this. So when Android pushes out releases, we have this thing called the Android support library that everybody uses for backwards compatibility of their APIs, for just generic bootstrapper code that you don't want to write. So the support libraries have been a part of Android dev, and Google is stopping support on it, like maintenance mode, and then everything forward goes into Android X. Right, so we use Android native controls, and our Xamarin Android components have been using the support libraries. We are cutting it off as of Android 9 level 28 of the APIs, so we will be on Android X. So again, future-proofing things. And again, if you look up Xamarin, they have very good guidance and strategies on migrating from Android support libraries to Android X. So we are happy to be on the bleeding edge for that. And again, there are about 30 or so other features that I'm not naming. Again, just performance tuning, little things here and there, trying to make the Xamarin suite as solid as possible. Okay, now, before I go into a quick set of demos, we are not trying to make just hello world apps. We want to be there with you as you're building real world apps. So we wanted to take the experience of pushing something out to the App Store, showcase our UI, but also make it work with Azure, make it work with kind of AI services, kind of light things up, make things more real world. So we are very happy to bring you this. We saw a little bit of this last release, but now all 4 of these apps are in the App Stores. So these are all real-world Xamarin apps, Xamarin Forms apps in particular. They're deployed to each respective app store, so you can do a search. We also did an ebook on how we wrote these apps. So again, we want to share the journey with you, so you get inspired and you get to see how a full-featured app, the code base, looks like. So you get to see how we are using our stuff. So there are 4 of these apps. There's an ERP, there's a CRM app, there's a to-do list, and then there's a Tagit, which goes out and calls some AI services. The source code for all of it is out there. So we are putting out the love so people see how we can build full-featured apps with Xamarin Forms, use cloud services, use AI, and use our UI. So if you are looking for inspiration, this is it. So go play around. You can see some of the UI in action. Okay, so I'm going to spend probably 10 minutes or maybe a little less to go over some of the Xamarin demos, and then we'll jump into desktop. All right, so first thing is I'm going to pull up Visual Studio. And by the way, what I'm showing you here, everything is up here on Telerik.com. And then if I go into the mobile components, you see Telerik UI for Xamarin. If you have never played with our stuff, this is what I'm actually doing. I'm not doing NuGet. I just did that big red button, and it gets you all the DLLs and all the things you need to start building. So let me show you this app here. If you have an iOS or Android device, by the way, or Windows device, you can go to the store and you can search for Telerik. And this is the app you're going to likely run up first as a suggestion. This is what we call QSF. It's a quick solution that showcases this app is actually the one that's in the store. And here's the source code. When you download our bits, we give you the source code so you can go look. So let me go ahead and run this real quick. And while it's running, this is the solution. So I have stripped out UWP and Android. All of that code is also there, but there's nothing platform specific here. This is all Xamarin Forms. So let me bring over, this is running on iOS 14. So again, we are on the latest. So again, look through this app. This is all of the UI that we provide in Xamarin. You can see the kind of things we can do with data forms and data grids, different types of charts, layouts, image editors, gauges, list views. Our list view is absolutely on steroids. I love it. But then these are the couple of new things. So this is the rich text editor that I was talking about. If I go look at this, envision this to be like an email or anything that's rich. So you can do all of the things that you are capable, like from a desktop thing now with touch. So you see that I selected that thing. This entire toolbar lights up. I can make things bold. I can make things italics. I can do a numbered list. I can do an unordered list. I can do subscript, superscript, strike through, hyperlink, you name it. It's all there. And when you're done, you can just send it off. That's just the first look of it. Then let me, I came too far out. Let's go back in and let's look at this one here, import and export. So here's again a document, and you want to share this out. You can share it out as is, as HTML. We give you right there, and you can obviously save it locally. Open means you can open up anything you want from the web on the device. It's right there. You can load up just about every device, and the toolbar is right there, so you can do your manipulation of text. In terms of customizations, like this is the toolbar that you get to light up, and you can do different things. You can say, give me more of the text formatting. Maybe you don't have paragraphs. You can have all of it right there as icons, or you can say, give me more like paragraph formatting. Then you get this. So again, very customizable control, deals with just about every type of rich text that you can think of. All right, let's go look into this combo box. This one is like you expect. It's a rich combo box. So if I do a drop down here, you see all of these technologies come up, and then this one supports multiple things. So this one will have like the token support, job types. You can see we have things here. That's just a combo box. Again, you full touch support, obviously, and it works beautifully. When it comes to customizing things, so this one here will look different. See how we are using a template. We are using things here to make the colors pop. This one here, the stores, for choosing that particular top, like you can see how we can customize everything. It's all driven by a template, so it's real nice. So you can see how the selection works. And when it comes to configuring things, again, we give you a nice little UI, so you can see all of the things you can do, like the selection mode being single or multiple. Is the drop-down open? Is the clear button visible? Is it editable? Is it getting focus on? Is it opening on focus? What is the search mode? It starts with, it contains. The search text path means if you are binding it to a collection of like objects, and then one particular property of that object is the one that you want to drive when the suggestions list show up. So it's all very, very customizable and open for you. So that's the combo box. Let me see if I can show you the PDF viewer real quick. And where is that? And let me know if there are any questions, but otherwise we might come back because I am running a little late. So here's the PDF viewer. So right up here, you see that search box. I can search for whatever here. And when I hit go search, like it's starting to list out things, and I can just like page through, right? So just a regular search, but it kind of searches through any PDF, anything that you can think of, and that toolbar is right there and built in for you. Okay, so that's with the thing. And and the sample apps here, if you click on it, it'll show you those 4 sample apps, which are also in the store. So it'll just take you to the store to say, go download these apps. Play around with this UI. This is beautiful. This has taken us a long time to do, but it shows us, it shows you the kind of flexibility we can provide from a real full-featured solution. All right, so I am running short of time. So let me show you one more thing, and then, so join me for the Twitch stream. This is where we get to actually go through the code. This one here, I won't put in too much time here. You can see like in the solution, like this is the XAML view. This is C# and XAML. You can see like this is the RAD combo box. This is straight up XAML item source binding, and all of the properties are right there for you. This was the configuration view, which you can see that what we are doing here is the RAD combo box, and then all of these properties, we are making them bindable to things that you can edit on the UI, and it affects how the combo box works. This one here is that colors, that other thing that I showed you. These are the stores that I showed you. So when we bring it out into XAML, you will see the RAD combo box. All of it is driven by like item templates. Like this RAD border, that's what's making that little color thing show up, because it's bound to the actual color, and then the label is what's showing up next. This is, let's see, and I'm just literally going through the list here. You can go through all of the examples here. This is PDF viewer. Notice how this is the PDF viewer. We are putting the PDF viewer toolbar on top of it, and all you need to do is add that search toolbar, and that's it. In this case here, we are loading up a local PDF that's sitting right here in my solution, but you can load up anything and it'll just work, right? So all of this is out here. I can minimize this. You can see that all of these controls that I showed you, they're all here, and you get to go through the code and see how this is working. So let me show you one more thing, and then we will go to desktop. This is another solution that we put together, and it's also out there. I'm going to run this real quick, and then come and join me for the Twitch stream so we can actually build part of this live. So if I fire this up and go to my iOS simulator, you're going to see a Xamarin app. It's not going to look any different, but under the covers, it's all different. So this is the autocomplete view. So when I start typing, I don't know what it matches on, so you can see the solutions things coming up. So yeah, that works. And then the busy indicator, these are the borders, the rounded corners that you can do. I'm a big fan of our busy indicators. You can change the animation type to being whatever, and you can style it to make it custom. This one's the new one. This is the data grid. Right, so this is the whole data grid. Doesn't look any different from what you will do in Xamarin, except this is not done with Xamarin. This is done with Blazor mobile bindings, and I would love to show you the code for that. So it's all there. This one's the side drawer. This is kind of embedded in here just to kind of show you. All of this is just as you would expect from Xamarin. But if you look at the code here, this is completely different. In my app.cs, which is how the project starts up, this is a Xamarin Forms application, but it actually is starting out with Blazor. It's using the Blazor startup, which is app host, and we're configuring services. That's our example view. If you look at the view pages here, these are all Razor pages. I can zoom in here. These are all Razor pages, right? This is all CSS and Blazor that we're doing. This one is using the Xamarin shell, and it's changing the route based on what you click on. And in the app delegate, we just new up Xamarin Forms, and we let Xamarin Forms do the painting. I'll show you probably just one or two of these things. This is a rad busy indicator. Notice how it kind of looks like XAML, because that's kind of how Blazor mobile bindings look like. But then all of the properties, everything is customizable. This is all Blazor syntax. And I can show you maybe a checkbox here. Notice how we are setting the properties on it. We are sending down values for the properties, and that's all customizable here. In the code. This is how you write Blazor code. It doesn't need to be in the same file. As Ed has pointed out to me, you can absolutely have a separation. You can have Razor and then Razor.cs as your code behind. So I would love to walk through this a lot more if you come and join me for the Twitch streams. Okay.
Sam, real quick question, just a quick question from me. Is this how Maui looks? Is this Maui? What's the relationship there?
Okay, we don't know, because this is all in the works. .NET 5 RC bits are out. Xamarin Forms 5 is just getting out. So this will likely how we will have an option of writing things in Maui, but nobody knows yet. We are just trying to get ahead of the curve and try to provide more and more options for devs. So this is one way you're going to have an MVU pattern, which is kind of from the Comet library. It is C# as a declarative UI, and we're building up the visual tree. And instead of MVVM, which is what we're used to, we do MVU. Okay. All right, I got 20 minutes and a lot more to cover. So let me switch over and let's talk about desktop. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about desktop. This is important. This is what runs your businesses. So big news here. We have been writing on .NET Core 3 as of like last September, when they first announced WPF and WinForms to be able to run on .NET Core. .NET Core 3.1 is long-term support, LTS version, so you will have complete confidence from Microsoft, from us, to make sure that all of our stuff works on .NET Core. And like we said, RC1 came out like a week or 10 days back. We already have support for it. So you can see how much we are interested in making sure you build modern desktop applications. So let's talk about WPF. We'll talk about WinForms, WPF, WinUI, UWP, and then we'll show you some quick demos. Let's talk about WPF. Again, lots and lots of love that we pour in. So our XAML teams, it's all combined. So you will still see us supporting Silverlight. If you want to migrate this, maybe a good time to start thinking about moving it to WPF or Blazor. But it's the same XAML team, and they pour in their love. So for WPF, we have a brand new theme, which is Office 2019 theme. It looks and feels like a modern Office application. You get 3 different color palettes to choose from, lots of styling APIs. And this theme in particular ends up using the most brushes to do custom stuff. So all of those APIs are open for you. So you can make it look like however you want within that theme. We have a brand new auto suggest box, which is kind of a variation on the combo box, but this one's a little bit on steroids. Again, it's dynamically populated drop-down list, fully driven by templates. You can make it look like however you want. Supports full UI virtualization. It can do grouping. It has different event handlers that you can respond to. Rich theming support, so you can again make it look like however you want. Has watermarks. If you don't find results, there is an easy way to do that. The clear buttons, the search buttons, they're all configurable, and it has keyboard support. So very, very rich auto suggest box. We do have a new notify icon thing. This is something we did last release, and we put it out in beta. Now it's out of that wrapper, and it's fully ready for you to build stuff in production. It is a notify icon and a little window where you get to do anything custom, right? So we give you full flexibility. It's a pop-up window that shows up for Windows developers or Windows users, and it has like built-in show and hide animations. You can do mouse events that you want to subscribe to. This release, we are adding like new high DPI support if you are supporting such monitors, and then different ways in which you can have the closing behavior be customized, right? So this is a great little control. I'll show you that. Very suitable for like showing notifications to the user. We do support, again, the latest and greatest here with .NET Core. We also have Entity Framework Core that went out, and we have a new Entity Framework Core data source. So you can literally drag and drop. You have your Entity Framework that's sitting on top of your data sources, however your relational data stores are. And then we have seamless integration. You want to bring this into a grid view or a pager or a data filter. You don't even need to write any code because the Entity Framework source knows everything about your entities, how to do CRUD. It just bring you in, and it just works as a standalone source. So all of the things you expect, like filtering, sorting, grouping, it's all going through that Entity Framework layer. Paging, edit mode, it all works, and command support as well. All right, so there's lots and lots of love throughout the rest of WPF. The time span picker, folks really wanted like the edit functionality in the time span picker, so you can like tab through, you can choose things with your mouse and be able to edit those things. It's there. The slider control, I love this. We actually added multiple thumb support. I mean, by thumbs I do this because like WPF is touch friendly, but with your mouse, like you can have two or more kind of thumbs that are controlling the slider. They can move with each other, or they can be locked, or they can be independent of each other. So it's all there. The interaction modes are there. I'll show you a couple of demos for that. Docking is great for kind of organizing your WPF control or your WPF app. And if you're building something as rich as like Visual Studio for your users, this is something you must use because it lets you dock things left and right, down at the bottom, middle of the screen, doesn't matter. And we give you keyboard or mouse shortcuts to be able to do that. The rich text box, again, WPF has had that for a while, but it now supports different types of shapes that you want to bring in, copy and paste from Office documents. It's all good. The spreadsheet control, which again deals with Excel spreadsheets, and this is all powered by our document processing libraries. There's a big .NET document processing library that deals with everything. We obviously work with the latest Excel formats, but XLS is the latest Office uses OpenXML, OpenOffice XML, but Office from 97 to like 2003 used like XLS files, and those were like binary files. We have support for that. So you can work with older Office things just as casually as you do with our stuff today. Now, in terms of Adobe and PDFs, I actually did not know a whole lot about it until we actually did this. So there's this thing called CMAP, which is a character map. So whenever you see a PDF, the character map is the mapping between the character codes and what they actually look like. So think about this from like a Unicode or any other encoding perspective, where you have characters that stand for something and they're represented by something else. So those could be lots and lots of CMAP standards that Adobe supports, and then you can also do your custom things. So we support all of that now in our document processing library as well as in our PDF viewer. So, and you're going to see this in WinForms as well. So it's all through. So full support for CMAP tables. Telerik UI for WPF, like I said, it runs on .NET Core 3.1 and it all runs on .NET 5 RC1. And when it comes to the libraries and how you're building, if you want to run things on .NET Framework, go ahead and do that. If you want to bring things in, have things in a NuGet package and you want to run on .NET Core, we'll give you separate binaries. And if and when you are ready to convert from full framework to .NET Core, we give you a very nice try convert tool which analyzes your APIs, make sure you can kind of lift and shift from framework to .NET Core. So that's about WPF. Let's talk about WinForms. Again, this is what runs a lot of businesses. It doesn't need to be battleship gray. WinForms apps can be very polished looking. We did a lot of work in WinForms, and this is the big one. Everyone has been asking for this, and we have been working very closely with Microsoft. So between framework and .NET Core, WinForms is a different beast because you are changing up how it works entirely. And everyone's fond of our toolboxes, which is where you get to list out all of the controls that you have at your disposal, and then you just like drag and drop to your form. There were some big technical challenges to be able to do that. So we worked with Microsoft over the last several months, and it's out there. So if you are starting up a new .NET 5 project with WinForms, you see it. Even if you have an existing WinForms application that you have migrated, you just bring in the Telerik NuGet package and this lights up. So all of our UI is right there for you in the toolbox, as well as some of the smart tags, some of the things that where you want to right click on a grid and you want to see those properties on data sources, columns, and things that you want to bind on. If you have like a multi-layout docking system, you can move things left and right. All of those contextual menus, all of that is available for you. So design support is right here for WinUI or WinForms. WinForms also gets a brand new task dialog. This is kind of, again, the Windows dialog system, just like on just super steroids here. It does everything under the covers, as you can imagine. Multi-purpose, you can ask a user a question, you can have them a prompt, you can have them confirm something, show a progress indicator. It's all welcome. You can put in whatever you want. It is auto-sizing based on what you put in it. It has paging if you are doing like a wizard type thing through multiple pages. Again, wide support for elements and different types of icons. It can be modal or non-modal. You can have theming, localization, right to left support. So fully customizable task dialog, so you don't have to use the Windows thing anymore. We do have improvements all through. So the list view gets a nice little auto-size column mode where it can either stretch out to fill up the whole space or just take whatever space you give it. We do have lots of themes, and these themes we are shipping now with vector images, so SVG images, so they look sharp, whichever DPI or whatever monitor you want to use this on. When it comes to distribution choices, you can ship with the Telerik assemblies baked in, or you can bring them in as package references based on however your teams are using it. And WinForms gains the same things that WPF did in terms of XLS format support with spreadsheet and spread processing, and then CMAP table support for the PDF side of the things. So that's with WinForms. Again, like I said, lots of things going on. Let's talk about UWP, right? And this is an exciting new world. You see Microsoft kind of maybe slowing down a little bit, but then picking up because it's kind of, we are breathing new life into this ecosystem as to how we build modern Windows apps. You see the excitement from Microsoft, you see the excitement from companies like Uno Platform or solutions like Uno Platform. So this is happening big time. So for UWP, we have always had this for the last several years. We have probably 25 or so controls that are purely for Universal Windows Platform, works on every Universal Platform device that you can think of. And all of this is open source. So this is us just sharing the love, and that's very much there. You see Microsoft use our stuff all over the place, our grids and charts. But UWP has had some issues because we are tying ourselves too closely to Windows releases, and that's not okay. So Microsoft for the last year and a half has been really trying to have that abstraction there. So we have WinUI, and right now it's on Preview 3, and that's an abstraction. So this is the modern Windows UI rendering engine for any type of app. Right now it's UWP mostly, but Win32 apps will be on board, and we want to be right there when you're ready to build WinUI. So last release, we put this out, experimental still, because again, WinUI is experimental still. So UI for WinUI, we put this out last release. We came out with a massive grid, which is, again, if we can do the grid, we can do just about everything. So it rides on top of WinUI. It gives you all of that native WinUI controls that you crave, and the fluent design and all of the APIs eventually will support Win32. But the grid was there, and again, like I said, this is free and it's trial. So give it a spin, give us feedback, run it, and see how this works. This time, we actually took the time to write a few more controls, and big controls, charts and graphs. Like we are known, the Telerik charts and graphs, that's what you know us for. It's all there for you to use. Probably 10 or so different types of charts, unmatched performance, different ways in which you can load up data sources, full customization, great drawing capabilities, Cartesian charts, polar charts, pie charts, different types of series charts. It's all there for you to use. We have brand new gauges, radial as well as linear, as well as different types of indicators, the ticks, the labels, the scales, everything is there for you to use, built-in animations. So super happy to have gauges. And this is a new bullet graph, which kind of essentially combines multiple graphs and gauges into a single thing. It's great if you're building like a dashboard. It lets you show a lot of information in not a lot of space. So it's really good. It's lightweight, fully customizable in terms of the ticks, the labels, the data binding support, the styles, and the appearances. So really excited with where WinUI is going. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left, okay, and I think we should be just good. And let me know if anything needs an answering right away, but otherwise I am going to pull up my Windows machine because I'm on a Mac. So this is my Windows 10 VM. It runs fine for the most part if you give it enough memory. Sometimes the fan will come up, but it's smooth, and I love having Mac and Windows on the same spot. So it's going to log into my Windows 10 machine, and I'm going to show you 3 things really quick. First up, here is WPF. Now this, what I'm showing you is the sample app. Again, you get the full source code for that, so I don't need to walk you through the source code. You get the bits, then you can get the NuGet packages, you can get the Visual Studio extensions, you get the templates. It's all there for you to use. So this one here is the WPF control. This is auto suggest box. So as I start typing, you can see how things show up and how I can I think there is a way in which maybe not this exact thing that I'm typing, like we can do some grouping. This is the clear button, this is the search button. I can customize all of that. Also, this already is showing you some of the groups. So that's there for you to use. The best part about this is like we give you the code right here. So you can see how we are doing this. So this one here is going to look small here, but you don't even need to load this up in Visual Studio. That's the auto suggest box that we're talking about, exactly the same as what you expect from any other like combo box type thing. All of the properties are right there. This is all XAML and C# that you're used to. Full support for item templates as you desire. So that's the auto suggest box, and take a look at how we can change things up here. So if I go to the configurator, just the toggling of the drop down, we can control that programmatically. How does the query icon look like? Is it this or that, or the clear icon, does it show up? The maximum, minimum length of the drop down. So you can control all of this very easily. And then if I switch around the theming, then you get to see how like this looks like in a dark theme. This is the 2019 dark theme. So things just kind of completely change how they render, right? So that's the auto suggest box. Let's look at the notify icon real quick. I'm going to switch to light theme because I'm the abnormal here. I like light themes. So this one here, when I do a show, what it's going to do here is give you a little thing that comes up here. That is your pop-up. That is your place to add whatever you want, and we can let you control the animation of how it pops out, how it closes. It's all there for you to use, however you want to notify your users. And in terms of the code, you can see how simple this is. It's just one rad notify icon and a bunch of things we are setting up. This one's actually using it's using a call out, which is another one of our controls that's super slick. This one here is the slider that we looked at, but let me show you the multi-thumb support. Imagine where you're trying to do something where you want to filter. Is this the right example? Hang on. Multi-thumb interaction modes. Yep, so you see those different thumbs. This one here moves independently. This one here is locked, and let's see, maybe this one here moves together. This one here does. So let me go back to the other example. There was a filtering. Yeah, this one here. So notice where if you are wanting to like filter on like something like a price, I want this to be between 0 and 15 or between like 30 and 35. So the multi-thumbs really come in really handy. Docking solutions, like I said, if you're building something like super busy, you want to use docking to kind of put things in place. And now we have keyboard and touch support and mouse support to be able to do that fairly easily as a user. So that's with WPF. Let me show you WinForms. So this is the WinForms example app. Again, task dialog. This is what the task dialog looks like. Could be as simple as this, where you just want to show the user some warning and do something. or it can be a little more involved, like in this case here. Remind me later, this one here looks small, but what it's doing is it's setting up a bunch of things like the form caption, the text, any drop downs that you want to see, progress bars, what's the icon. So you can set all of this up, and when you say show, this is how it looks like. That's the new task dialog, right? So it's a complete placeholder control for you to show dialogues to your Windows users and use it however you want, right? So that's all there for you. Like I said, the list view has this new feature of using this auto size column mode. So notice how this is stretching up, but then if I turn it off, then it switches back, right? So it's how you want to use the space. And just like this one here as well, we give you the code for C# and we give you the code for VB. So you can see exactly how we are using it. We're just setting the auto size column mode. That's the one property we are setting on and off. Excuse me. So that is WinForms, and I'm at time, but if I can just show you one more thing. Come and join me for the Twitch stream. I did not get to show you much of the WinUI stuff, but this is UWP, and this has some fabulous controls. All of this will be available to you if you're building modern Windows applications, or if you're building stuff for WinUI, let us know. I love some of these controls here. Look at the rating controls here. I do also love like a hex view control and how things flip. So this is all pure Windows, pure UWP, and we would love to bring all of this to you across WinUI as well. So play with it. Tell us how you feel about WinUI. All of the gauges and charts that I talked about, this is what we brought over to WinUI. It's not just a wrapper. We rewrote that, DataGrid as well, and we also have charts. So all of these like charts and graphs there, I mean, you know us from the charts and graphs, the kind of things we can provide. So all of that is out there for you to use for UWP, and we are starting to bring it over to WinUI as well. Okay, so at this point, let me go back to slides. I think we covered most of it. So I'm going to stop here, and Ed, are there things we can cover in terms of Q&A? I know we are running a little late.
One question I thought we answered in chat here, but I thought it was pretty interesting. The demos that you showed, not only can you install those and run those directly on your machine from your development environment, you can actually go to the Microsoft Store and search Telerik there. You can download all of the examples and run those just as a pre-compiled application, which is interesting. Yeah, that goes for the Xamarin one and everything.
Well, the Xamarin, you still need to, well, I mean, if you have a device, then yes, absolutely. So compared to your web, where you don't need to anything other than a browser, like you do need to actually run the app. It is a native app. So yes, you're right. For WPF and WinForms, those are all Win32 apps, but we can bundle them up and put it in the app store. So you get to just download an app and see how the UI works, and you see how the code works as well. Same with Xamarin. The default solution is the quick solution that I showed you. That's out in the stores, but also there are like 4 new sample apps. So all of those things, you don't even need to download anything. You can just like run the app and see how it works.
And then we also have a question about .NET 5. Are the examples you're showing running in .NET 5? Do we have them running in .NET 5?
Yes.
And then also I want to comment on that. If you go to the .NET community stand-up yesterday, Scott Hunter is demoing the WinForms controls inside of the builder tool. So you can see that there as well.
Yep, exactly. So what I showed you, none of that was actually running on .NET 5 because that's brand new. I can show you on the Twitch streams. So you need to have Visual Studio Preview version. I think it's 16.7.8 or something. And you do need to have .NET 5 runtime. And that's when it lights up, the new WinForms designer. But like WinUI will run on top of, like WinUI is now baked in. You don't need to have Visual Studio Preview versions, and it'll run on standard .NET Core as it stands right now. We want to thank you again for spending an hour with us so we could unpack all the things we have for you for Xamarin, for WPF, for WinForms and WinUI. You see the love that we are pouring in. You see the modern .NET and what it can enable for you. This is Sam and Ed again for you bringing you all the .NET stuff. And I want to thank our engineering teams and our PMs who bring us all of this. So we are standing on the shoulder of giants. All right, so we are a little over, but again, we are maybe difficult times that we're living through. I hope everyone's taking care of themselves and their families and being productive. Otherwise, that's it from us, and thank you so much one more time.